campaign. And the Remove the Box campaign was the campaign that Ban the Box. The Ban the Box campaign was the process by which they wanted employers to no longer ask the question, have you been arrested or convicted of a crime? And you'd have to check yes, and that would put you into a pile that was rejected from employment possibilities. This is in line with that. This is to try to give folks the opportunity to although they may have had something with marijuana in their past, simple possession of marijuana or paraphernalia, it now gives them the opportunity to not have to check the box, but be able to move forward with their employment possibilities. So there's a lot that's there that it opens up with regards to the possibilities. It is a major step. And I think that, Governor Moore put it best when he said that, state of Maryland in 2022, we legalized, right, marijuana in certain circumstances with certain amounts. But he said that we can't celebrate the benefits of legalization if we do not address the consequences of the criminalization that previously existed. So This is what that's doing.
And Daryl, if I can just remind your listeners of something, because we've got to understand what's going on here. This is a little bigger than that, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Those who live in Southeast Washington, D.C., those who live in Baltimore City, those who live in Richmond, Virginia, those listeners will tell you they remember very clearly. There were times that people would come into their neighborhoods, do these drug sweeps, people would go to jail.
That's right.
And in their lifetime, they've seen the following take place. That's what we got to make sure people understand this. The same people who went to jail for possession of marijuana, there's another group of people who are selling marijuana now legally, this cannabis industry, and they're majority white. So the crime that black people went to jail for has been legalized, and they actually make money off it. I've actually seen situations where blocks from where neighborhoods were, quote, drug-infested, they're now cannabis popping up all over the place. And the majority of them are being run by white people. So the context of this is that we've got to appreciate voting can and does make a difference. Who you put in public office change public policy. Public policy is what we're governed by. So we have to make sure we get more progressive people in the public office. And one of the things I think that needs to be underscored, no one act is a panacea. It's not going to solve all the problems that's facing black America, but it's a step in the right direction. So as we get people empowered, as we get people put in positions of power, we've got to use this opportunity. And I'd like to just say to persons living in Maryland, Marylanders, just really focus it there. For the first time in history, we have a black governor, black Speaker of the House, black Attorney General, the largest black legislative caucus in the nation. That's power. Now, what are we going to do with this power? It will not always exist. When we look back 10 years later, we should be looking at more than the fact that the governor pardoned 175,000 people. But we, with this power, should be able to redistribute the wealth in the state of Maryland to make sure our people are being adequately protected, respected. There are lots of things that we can do. There's no excuse anymore. We've got the power here in Maryland to do all kinds of things. A black woman may become from Maryland. We have an opportunity to send a black woman, first time in the history of our state, to the United States Senate. We've got this power. Will we use it? Will we be prudent? Will we be wise? Will we be igniting change?
Exactly. And we want people to join us this coming Monday. Join us. Make a notation on your calendar right now for June 24th, Monday, for a national teletown hall. Perfect. You can watch it on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. We will be broadcasting it nationally throughout this country. So if you're in any one of the 45 cities where people listen to this show, in the 13 nations, you can absolutely follow us. It's going to be at 7 o'clock p.m. on this coming Monday. All you do is go to facebook.com/TJC.DC, and you can hear and watch the entirety of the broadcast, because we're going to be talking about democracy at the cliff. This whole issue of these runaway, state legislatures that aren't doing things that are in the best interest of African American people and people of color throughout this country, or women who are just, denying us the full freedoms that we were guaranteed under the Constitution, who are spending all their time trying to suppress rights instead of award and reaffirm rights. We want to also talk about this incredible, what's happening with these courts, the Supreme Court injustice, all these horrible rulings they're making, all this anti-civil rights and voting rights legislation that they're affirming, and all of these horrible, cases that they're deciding. And what we want people to understand is part of your vote is a vote for your senators who vote for who gets on that Supreme Court. So, and you got to think about presidents because they nominate who will be on that court and all the federal courts. So we want you to really think about these issues, about how they affect life. And then the other connection we're going to make is about Project 2025. And people say, Project 2025, what is that? What does that have to do with my life? It has everything to do with your life, because they are talking about using the Project 2025 mandate to govern everything from education to the Department of Justice, which affects all of law enforcement in this country, to every single health care issue that exists, to women's rights. They're saying that no federal agency should this mandate go into place. No federal agency could use the words diversity, gender. They would ban these words, so many others, from being used, which means no policies promoting any of that would exist. Folks, we have to make sure that we're being educated fully. And thank you, Carl, so much, because we will be having that teletown hall again on Monday, this coming Monday, June 24th, 7 o'clock p.m., Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Look for us. This is so important. If you want more information, go to tjccoalition.org. tjcoalition.org. And look up this information. Right, Daryl?
Absolutely, Barbara. We look forward to seeing everybody on Monday at that teletown hall that we'll be having. Whether you're seeing us through Facebook, whether you're watching us on YouTube or some other social media platform, it's important that you be there, because one of the other things is that we're going to be lifting up on July the 17th. Coming up in the next month, the next 4 weeks or so, will be the 4th anniversary of the death of John Lewis. But we don't dwell on the death of John Lewis. We dwell on the life of John Lewis and what it meant. And we're going to have all of these different activations all over the country. And I know, Carl, in Annapolis, they're going to be doing an activation as well, celebrating the life of John Lewis, calling for the end of any type of voter suppression activity that happens in the state of Maryland or anywhere in the country, and also celebrating the victory that is our governor, Governor Westmore in the state of Maryland. And so, Carl, people are listening to this show, and they're listening to you speak from the city of Annapolis and all the positive things that the Caucus of African American Leaders is doing. Can you tell us in our closing minutes how people can get a hold of you, how people can find out what's happening with the Caucus of African American Leaders, and give us your closing remarks with regards to all of the Governor Westmore pardoning?
Well, let me just say this to both you and Barbara. The jobs you guys are doing are phenomenal. Dr. King, in his final speech, just before he died, made the observation that if he could choose any time to live, he would want to live during that era. And he made the point that he wanted to live during that era because all the great things were unfolding. We're going to look back 50 years from now, and the people are going to look at the work that you and Barbara has done, Daryl, and they're going to be amazed. You know, it's amazing that walking among us are people like yourselves, people who see the larger vision of what America could be and making America better and not bitter. When I look at what's going on in our lifetime, we've seen some remarkable things happen because of the work you guys are doing. I don't want people to think that Westmore just got lucky and got into public office. You guys have been able to lay the foundation to make it possible for social change to take place in America. And remember, it is not by accident. I mean, this is hard work. You mentioned John Lewis. And, Daryl, I love the way you said we should be celebrating his life, not his death. Because what John Lewis just kept telling us over and over again, if you see a good fight, get in it. Good trouble is good. And he encouraged us to do this. So for those who are interested in getting involved with the Caucus of African American Leaders, you just Google us. You will be able to get all the information you need in terms of how to contact us. But I want to really conclude on this note of just thanking you and Barbara. I heard the person previous to me coming on talking about what the Civil Rights Under Law Committee was doing. I know, Barbara, your involvement in that organization and the good work that you were able to do in that organization when you were there. So I just do not want the listeners to not know what I know. We are very, very fortunate to have you and Daryl in the social movement, making change, igniting change. Thank you again.
Well, thank you, Carl, and thank you for the Caucus of African American Leaders for all of your amazing, really hard, bold advocacy that you engage in. And it is our joy to work side by side with you and so many others in this movement. Please, everyone, be sure to mark your calendars right now for Monday and to be part of that National Teletown Hall. You know you want to hear Dr. Julianne Malveaux talk. You know you want to hear more about how we fight back, because we don't just lay down. You know, when we talk about John Lewis, we're talking about celebrating his legacy, and we're talking about finishing the job. At the time that he passed, he was trying to pass what is called the Freedom to Vote Act. We want to get that done. When he passed, he was trying to make sure that we had the Voting Rights Advancement Act, which is now called the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. We got to get that done. We want the Native American Voting Rights Act to pass. We want D.C. statehood. Yes, we need it. So we can't just wish and grovel and hope that something's going to happen. It takes our active engagement. So go to tjcoalition.org, tjcoalition.org. Get information about Monday and about July 17th. Right, Daryl? Because we need you on the front line. We need you everywhere, making sure that the change that this country must go through happens.
Absolutely, Barbara. Barbara, we always say, folks, don't sit there and watch life go by. Don't sit there and watch us in the fight. Get off the sidewalks. Get into the street. Make the change happen. Be the change that you want. Be a voter that makes that change so that we have more Governor Westmores across this country. Follow us at TJC_DC. Follow us at Barb73. Follow us at Free to Vote Daryl. Follow us, folks. Happy Juneteenth, everybody. Till next Tuesday, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Peace, everybody.
Happy Juneteenth.
The preceding program was paid for by Barbara Arnwine.
Mr. Rogers said, look for the helpers. You can always find people who are helping. Thank you to all the first responders who put their lives in danger to help us when my brothers and sisters and mom and dad and grandpa and grandma need them.
Thank you, first responders.
This is what I signed up for as a first responder. I am constantly worried about being exposed to this virus and potentially bringing it back to my home and my family. I'm going to continue going to work day in and day out and providing help to those that need it.
We look out for the helpers because they look out for us.
Thank you, first responders. Thank you, first responders.
Thank you, first responders. Love you. Mwah.
Be safe, look after yourself, and look after one another. Thanks.
Learn how you can help first responders in your community by texting BRAVE to 24365.
WOL, Washington, D.C. Al Sharp.